We're gonna have some fun today, ladies and gentlemen. And by that, we're gonna talk about some fun, strange facts you might know about. You might not know, rather, about the game of baseball. But before we get to that, remember, I'm on Facebook at JimmyFlame77, on Twitter at JimmyFlame77. Give me a holler over there sometime. I've received a number of messages online, and I've gotten back to pretty much everyone. And just wanted to say I appreciate everyone's comments, questions, criticisms. Haven't received much criticism, but it happens on occasion. I appreciate it all. So head over there to Facebook. Look me up, JimmyFlame77. And on Twitter at JimmyFlame77. And now, we're just going to go over some... I want to have fun today because the baseball season has gotten off to a great start. It's really, really fun, at least in my household right now, because I'm a O's fan and we're doing great. And can't really say that every year. So I decided today's appropriate. It's a good time to talk about some funny, just some fascinating facts in terms of Major League Baseball and just baseball in general. And I've addressed some of these on preceding podcasts from the old Big Game James show. And some of the stuff will be brought up again because it's fascinating. And, just in case you haven't been a follower or listener of my show for quite some time or ever, hopefully you'll be fascinated with this stuff too. But interestingly enough, everybody knows that Abner Doubleday is credited as being the godfather of baseball, the person who invented baseball, and that myth has been widely spread since 1907. And even today, sometimes by Major League Baseball, they bring up Abner Doubleday and give him credit for inventing baseball. But the fact of the matter is there's just no record at all that the Civil War general had anything to do with baseball at all. This includes Doubleday himself, never mentioning it in the many letters and journals that he wrote in his entire life. Many well-known letters and journals, I might add, because they're all published. The only real reference to where Doubleday, is really connected to baseball, and it's not even, really connected to baseball. It's more or less just a something he, in his obituary, 1893. His obituary said that he was not interested at all in any outdoor sports. Now, I don't know why he's credited as being the inventor of baseball. I mean, that's a whole different podcast, but succinctly, he was credited because at the time, Major League Baseball was looking for research, any evidence that could help them conclude that baseball was a uniquely American game, and they found it in Abner Doubleday, and we can talk about that more in a future podcast. But sorry, hate to break it to you, but Abner Doubleday did not invent baseball. Jackie Robinson was just celebrated this past week with his breaking the color barrier of professional baseball. But that's only part of the story. Because Jackie Robinson was not the first African American to play Major League Baseball. Now, this isn't saying that what Jackie Robinson did wasn't absolutely just amazing and awesome and fantastic. He did break down barriers. That is not disputed at all. However, there was another guy named William White who played Major League Baseball long before Jackie Robinson played Major League Baseball. And he spent time in Baltimore and some of the old Major League teams that don't exist anymore up in like Connecticut, I believe. And also, one thing, this is the tough part because the William White wasn't recognized as an African American ball player the time when he came out and when he played. The Baltimore Orioles reported he was an American Indian, and that's what the perception was. So, I mean, you could argue that that's really important. That the perception that there wasn't a black ball player prior to Jackie Robinson is correct, and it you very well might be right about that. But the fact is William White was an African American, played Major League Baseball. There were other African American athletes that did the same thing prior to Jackie Robinson and would claim other races, or like they would claim to be Cuban or something like that, something close to that, or or like in William White's case, he claimed to be an American Indian, and no one questioned it, and it was overlooked, and he went on and had a solid career. Moving along. Now, there was I came across another fascinating thing. There have been women who have batted in the major leagues. It's pretty obvious that no Major League Baseball player would be caught dead wearing a dress, even today, even in today's progressive climate. But one batter did wear one, and turned the at bat into an outrageous incident and left fans hooting and hollering. Kitty Burke, she was a nightclub singer, hit a ball thrown by Paul Daffy Dean. Daffy Dean, yeah. Pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals. Became the only woman to ever bat during an official Major League Baseball game. This at-bat did nothing to advance Major League Baseball's gender barrier that, has recently been brought up. But it did demonstrate baseball's amazing tendency to constantly show you something you've never seen before. I thought that was pretty funny. So Kitty Burke, she was a nightclub singer. From the nightclub to the baseball diamond. There was once a baseball player who was traded for bats. Yeah, bats. He was nicknamed Batman after the trade. His actual name was John Odom. His life ended tragically just 6 months after the trade. After being signed by the Giants in 2003 out of Tallahassee Community College, Odom was assigned to play in A-ball. He pitched for 4 seasons for the Giants, splitting time between the Salem Kaiser Volcanoes and the Green Jackets in Augusta, the A-ball affiliates. And during the time, he underwent Tommy John surgery and dislocated his shoulder. The surgery came in 2005, and then he dislocated his shoulder in 2007, which held back his progression through the minors. Well, he got traded for bats. Pretty funny stuff there. Speaking of winning, Charlie Sheen once bought over 2,600 tickets to a game so he could improve his odds of catching a foul ball, or a home run ball, rather. He grew up with a love for acting and baseball, and it's well known. His baseball fanaticism is well known. And as with acting, Sheen started out demonstrating quite a bit of promise in baseball over at Santa Monica High School. He was a shortstop and a pitcher, and his pitching ability was actually pretty impressive. A former White Sox and Padres pitcher by the name of Jerry Nyman, and one-time minor league pitching coordinator for the Devil Rays, said that Sheen was a good baseball player and among the best at his school, and he might have played pro ball. If he played pro ball, he might have gone to make it to the big leagues. Well, he didn't go on to make it to the big leagues, except in Hollywood, and he would eventually buy a ton of tickets to try and catch a home run ball at a game. I think the game that he actually went to, no home runs were hit, so sorry, Charlie. Did you guys know that John Dillinger once played professional baseball? One of the many things that I love about baseball is how many people that for an entirely different reason. Baseball is sort of like the largest mom and pop operation that no one knows about. And interesting enough, President George Bush played in the first 2 College World Series and kept a well-oiled first baseman's mitt in the desk of his Oval Office, just in case. Dwight Eisenhower also played minor league ball over in Kansas. Kurt Russell played in the minor leagues too. He is partially featured in a documentary on Netflix called The Battered Bastards of Baseball. You got to check out that document. It's so awesome. I'm going to actually do a whole show on that documentary in the future. But check it out. But nevertheless, with all these other famous people that aren't known for baseball, here's another guy, John Dillinger. I thought that was pretty fantastic to find out that the bank robber John Dillinger used to use his skills for other things other than bank robbing. And there was once a Major League ball player who stole first from second. We've all seen the kids out in the field running the wrong way, etc. Stuff like that. If you watch T-ball long enough, or if you've been to enough T-ball games, I'm pretty sure you've seen backwards base running. But it turns out that there was once a Major League ball player who did this, except he did it on purpose. This was Herman Schaefer, who had nicknames such as Dutch, the Prince, Germany, and he was a notorious prankster who would do things like wear raincoats or carry a lantern out on the field during the game, trying to hint to the umpire that they should call the game because of rain. And this guy was just a funny guy. Apparently he was a really funny guy to watch play too. I mean, he was just an absolute prankster. But his most memorable antic was to steal first from second, possibly twice, because there's no documented proof of the first instance. Just a story from one of his teammates. His name was Davy Jones. Schaefer is the only known person to ever steal first in a Major League game, and will remain so because a new rule was written shortly after Schaefer's death back in 1919, which states, after a runner has acquired legal possession of a base, if he runs the bases in reverse order for the purpose of confusing the defense or making a travesty of the game, the umpire shall immediately call time and declare the runner out. So this instance of Schaefer stealing first, according to this guy Davy Jones, occurred in a game against Cleveland in 1908, with the exact date unknown. With a runner on third late in the game, Schaefer stole second, hoping to draw a throw from the catcher so that the runner on third could try and steal home. That's textbook, base running 101. I remember at the Little League level, our manager telling us, if there's a guy on third, go ahead and steal second. That way, if the catcher throws, the guy from third can try to run home during the throw or whatever, during the distraction. Anyhow, Schaefer tried this, and it didn't work. So he decided to run back to first to try to entice the catcher into throwing, so that he could get the man from third to run home. Now, an argument ensued, and Schaefer argued that there were 10 people on the field or something like that. Something completely irrelevant to the actual play, but it ended up not being true. The umpires couldn't do anything about it. There was no out rule at the time. You could run the bases. You could run backwards on the bases if you wanted to. I don't know why anybody would, but this guy did because he thought it would be a good strategy to try to get the guy home. And it didn't work. It actually caused a bunch of confusion, if of all things, and he was ordered back to second base. Alrighty, here's some more stuff I've been finding. Of course, everyone knows Doc Ellis, the pitcher who was on LSD, threw a no-hitter. That still is like one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. There's a really funny YouTube video that goes about in some detail. It's a cartoon version of it, and it's just really funny. And there's also a Netflix documentary called No No. It's about Doc Ellis. You should check it out. But that's that's always one of those fascinating facts about baseball that everyone should know about. There once was a guy named Paul Wainer who refused to accept a hit in a game. He was sitting on 2,999 hits, and at the time, fans didn't really care that much about milestones, but the 3,000 hit club was really small at that time. There was like 4 guys that were a part of it, and I'm talking like this is way back in like 1940 or something like that. But milestones weren't like all that important. Like people really didn't follow them that closely like they did with home runs or whatever. But this was particularly important because people did his hitting did attract the attention of fans, and he was sitting on 2,999 hits, getting ready to become part of the 3,000 hit club. People were excited about it. The media was pretty excited about it too, and he lined a shot to a shortstop. When was this again? I'm trying to find the date here. Anyhow, he lines a shot to short. It bounces off the shortstop's glove and rolls into the outfield, and he runs to first. He's awarded a hit, and he's yelling up at the box, No, I don't want this. I don't want this hit. That's not fair, or whatever. That's an error, or whatever. Well, the scorekeeper turned around and changed it to an error, and Wainer sat on 2,999 hits. A few days later, ironically, the same scorekeeper is up top, and Wainer lines a shot, same shortstop, but instead doesn't even get near close to his glove, zips into the outfield, beautiful hit, and Wainer apparently looked up at the scorekeeper and gave him a thumbs up, and then the scorekeeper gave him a thumbs up. But yeah, he goes down as the only major league player to refuse a hit and actually influence the scorekeeper. Moving along, speaking of home runs, there's some funny stuff. I found some interesting facts about home runs from way back, and baseball is a simple game. The object is to go home, right? So prior to the 1930 American League season and prior to the 31 National League season, fly balls that bounced over or through the outfield were declared home runs prior to 1931. That's pretty crazy. All batted balls that cleared or went through the fence on the fly, or that were hit more than 250 feet in the air and cleared or went through the fence after a bounce in fair territory, were counted as home runs. And this is from the redacted Major League rule book. After the rule change, the batter was awarded second base, and these were called, of course, automatic doubles. Now, also, there was, just to clear it up, clear things up a little bit, Babe Ruth reportedly never had a bounced home run, so his number is solid. But, however, Lou Gehrig apparently had quite a few, and so did Rogers Hornsby and just a slew of others. Homers, which were, bounce balls which were declared homers. Another home run rule that I found fascinating was there used to be an infinite foul line, meaning that the foul line extended into the stands, and there was no foul pole because because a home run was dictated where the ball landed. So these days, like tons, we see home run balls hooking around the foul pole all the time. Well, back in like Babe Ruth's day, that was not the case. Home runs had to remain fair once leaving the field. It's reported that Babe Ruth lost about 75 additional home runs because of that rule. And there's one example that I found in a newspaper. Quote, on August 21st, 1920, Babe launched one far over the right field grandstand at the Polo Grounds. It was obviously fair when it left the park, and Ruth proceeded to trot around the bases. When he arrived at home plate, though, the umpire disallowed the homer with the explanation that the ball landed on foul ground somewhere out in Manhattan Field. Now, part of the rationale for the infinitely long foul lines is that in the early years, ballparks did not always have foul poles, as I stated before. When a long fly ball was hit down the left or right field line, the absence of the foul poles made it difficult to determine whether a ball was in fair territory as it left the field. That has since changed, of course. I mean, foul poles are mandatory in all fields. But Babe Ruth, he 714. I mean, add 75 home runs to that, and Babe Ruth is closer to 800 home runs in his career, if you count the bounced balls, or not the bounced, but the hooked balls that didn't count as home runs that were, by newspaper accounts, clearly fair as it left the field. Now, should they be retroactively added to his totals? I don't know. Maybe somebody raised a stink about it, and they could be. Who knows? And what else did I find here? I found, again, ladies and gentlemen, we're just having fun on today's show. There's no real formula to this. I just came across a lot of interesting facts about baseball that you might not know about. Oh yeah, here's another one that actually struck me as kind of odd. Mickey Mantle was banned from baseball at one point. In 1983, Mickey Mantle was threatened by the commissioner of baseball, who was Bowie Kuhn at that time, that if he didn't stop working for a casino, he'd be put on baseball's permanently ineligible list, which meant he'd be banned from any major or minor league baseball related activities, including coaching, scouting, or whatever at any level. This is the same list Pete Rose got himself on for gambling while he was with the Reds. But Mickey Mantle was working for a casino back in '83, and MLB said, no, that's not cool. Mantle was primarily working as a representative of the casino, not in any day-to-day work. Occasionally working as a greeter, if he did a charity event or something. He'd do autograph signings or golf outings or whatever. But Mantle at the time just needed money. He needed a job, and the casino gave him one. He wasn't a part of the gambling operation or anything like that. But Major League Baseball didn't like it, and they said, yo, if you don't stop doing this, we're going to ban you. Well, they ended up actually banning him, and an outcry just an outpouring of support on Mickey Mantle's behalf just flooded the Major League Baseball office, and they had to reverse their decision. Especially when the facts came out that he didn't have anything to do with gambling. And let's do one more. Actually, let's do two more, because there's two more that I found. One's interesting, and the other's just downright kind of tragically funny. Take Me Out to the Ball Game. You sing it during the seventh inning stretch. But you'd be surprised to learn that this staple is actually something of a modern practice. It first started as a regular part of the seventh inning stretch with the White Sox back in the late 70s, thanks to Harry Carey. And before this, the song had occasionally been sung by fans at various baseball games, in amateur baseball, college baseball, and major leagues, but never as a regular thing or at a designated time. The first known instance of this was at a Dodgers game, or not a Dodgers game, a Los Angeles high school back in 1934 introduced Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and people would sing it. It really wasn't at a designated time, though, at every game. It was also played before one of the games in the 1934 World Series when Pepper Martin and the St. Louis Cardinals band played it. Harry Carey started it in the late 70s, and it caught on, and soon thereafter, every major league team adopted it. I believe Major League Baseball even requires it. So that's that. Take Me Out to the Ball Game isn't as old as you think. Lastly, okay, so there's a Hall of Fame ball player by the name of Richie Ashburn, and the story goes he struck a fan with foul balls twice in the same at-bat. It happened on August 17th, 1957, during a game between the Phillies and the New York Giants. The spectator's name was Alice Roth, and she was the wife of Earl Roth, who was an editor for Philadelphia's Bulletin newspaper, which Ashburn himself would later write for, along with the Philadelphia Daily News and some other papers. But during the at-bat I'm talking about, Ashburn had hit a foul ball that struck Roth squarely in the face. It broke her nose, and she needed medical attention. And while she's getting carted off to the hospital in her stretcher, Ashburn cracked another foul ball, and the sucker flew over and hit her again. Oh my gosh, tragically funny. I mean, fortunately she was okay, but wow. Wow. Anyhow, I hope you guys had fun today. I had fun looking at some interesting facts here on the Baseball Fury. I'm going to put together some shows over the weekend coming up. Get you all caught up on Major League Baseball. But, yeah, I'm going to do some more of these history-type shows. If you have any interesting facts you'd like me to discuss, go over to Facebook and let me know. Facebook, JimmyFlame77. Also, Twitter, JimmyFlame77. Let me know over there. Let's get a conversation started. But until next time, this is the Baseball Fury. Jimmy Flame signing out, everybody. Ow!